Okay.
Right. Well, good morning. You're listening to WXOX 97.1 FM in Louisville, Kentucky, or streaming on Art FM. And this is LV's Artebella on the radio, the show produced by Louisville Visual Art. And I'm your host, Keith Waits. And we're going to do some interviews today with people who are participating in the upcoming Open Studio Louisville. Used to be a weekend, now it's a whole month. So today I've got this first interview is with two people. James May is a Kentucky native who has been working in the arts since 2001 as an artist assistant, educator, and technician. He has a BFA from Tulane University and an MFA from Illinois State University and has been a working artist in both New Orleans and Cincinnati prior to moving to Louisville in 2015. He is a fabricator, installer, contractor, and consultant for numerous other artists and has designed equipment for several studios nationally. Also with us is Sarah Ferguson, a Louisville native, who has years of varied experience working in galleries and art venues in the area. She is a Center College graduate. Yay for Center College. Her volunteer and community service history has given her ample experience with youth programs and community outreach as Acme strives to be a centerpiece in the greater Louisville community, and that's Acme Artworks, which is an enterprise they have gotten going. We're going to talk to them about that as a part of this interview in just a little bit. But first, well, thank you guys for joining me. Welcome.
Well, thanks.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, so this is your first open studio experience. So first off, and so you're kind of new to me, which is one of the most fun things about the show is that it becomes a way to meet people, new people and artists that I'm not so familiar with. So let's start with talk to me about what kind of work you do. James, you start. What's your work as an artist?
I'm a glass blower, so I do a lot more like hot sculpting, which is like torch and poke the glass a little bit until you can make it look like an actual thing. So I do a lot more in the narrative and sort of trying to create story by recreating these objects in glass. Everything from like smaller faces to more mundane things like nails and tools and things like that.
Okay, Sarah?
I also dabble in glass. I took one class my final semester of college and caught the bug. Haven't been able to let it go. So I dabble a little bit with that here and there. I'm mostly interested in kind of the historical aspects of glass. So there's a whole different branch, just kind of like Italian Venetian. It's very balanced. Everything's very exact. So you can't really mess up with that sort of stuff. It's very difficult. And with COVID going on, I've actually been getting more into embroidery. So I'm kind of going into textiles.
Cool. Well, I in all these interviews I do, I find there are very few artists who are just one thing and very few artists who stick to just one medium. There's some tradition. That's all cool too. But more and more people, I don't know if it's restlessness or just a curiosity that artists have, but it's a very common thing that people get into all sorts of different things. So what was it that drew you to doing Open Studio this year? Was it because of the space you guys have developed, Acme Artworks? Was it more of an individual thing to want to get hooked up?
We, I've been here and going to Open Studio events for the last 4 years or whatever, and or more, I guess. And I've always wanted to do it, but it's just never been something that I wanted to participate in until we had some place to do it. And so when we decided to start Acme, it was just something that we always knew we were going to do because we had the space and because it really fits with our mission of just being a group, a community, and just joining Acme to the larger Louisville art community.
Right. Now, Acme is a business, but there's also this side of it that is about the word you use in your mission statement, I think, is the incubator for other artists. And you've got, I think, how many? 26 artists now?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 26 studios, and thankfully we're a full house.
Yeah, cool. Now, does Acme, does it attract other artists like you? Is it more fabricators and three-dimensional artists doing all these different kinds of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, machine techniques?
No, we have a very wide range. Everything from photographers, painters, professional pumpkin carver. We've got some glass blowing torch workers. What else? Quite a few painters. We have a plant wholesale business that sell like boutique botanicals. They're really nice. They're fun. Lots of different things going on.
So you have a lot so do they set you up with a lot of plants in the space to get your oxygen pure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And they help keep the rest of ours alive. So good trade.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, I'm bad with plants. I have a black thumb. I can't do it. I just don't even like, if anybody gives me a plant, it's like I might as well just throw this in the trash right now. That's how I am. So I have great appreciation for people that are good with those kinds of elements. So what would you say? I asked you to talk about your work a little bit. Like, so how would you describe, Sarah, let's start with you. How would you describe your work? You talked about the medium and techniques a little bit, but like, what is your work like for somebody who's never seen your stuff? What are they going to encounter when they come to visit you?
With my glass work, I'm really interested in making like functional vessels. I stay away a little bit more from like the interpretive side. I just make an object, that's what it is. And then when I do my
That in itself is an interpretation, I think, is the argument, but anyway.
Hey, I guess you could make it. And then as far as embroidery and cross stitching go, I make what I call sassy cross stitches. So you'll see a little bit of profanity along with some flowers. So everything's a little bit different.
So it's like the old idea of the sampler saying home sweet home, but you might have some different language in there.
Yeah, I don't think my grandmother would approve.
So James, what about your work? What's your work all about?
Right now I've been dealing with containers of memory. That's sort of been what I've been thinking about, and that's like canopic jars, tombs, reliquary, things like that. The things I have at my studio right now, I've been making little trophies, sort of mementos of time passing and things like that. What else? Lots of bottles that contain things or have like some sort of either an interesting little topper on the top that sort of gives you an idea of what's contained in the bottles, things like that.
Well, when you started, what was the first thing you said? Is it Noptic bottles?
Canopic, like Egyptian canopic urns that have like the head of
the Egyptian gods, but they contain like the organs of the mummy. So
Yeah.
just
Okay.
kind of those kind of mementos.
Yeah.
So you're focused a lot on sort of death and loss, it seems like. Is that fair to say?
It's more nostalgia, I think. So preservation of times, things like that.
So, and this is a question, of course, we get ask any artist, but it comes to mind partly because of the themes you're talking about. But has the last 18 months and the experience of the pandemic fed into that work at all? Or I mean, and I don't imagine, I'm not taking from what you're saying that you got into this in the last 18 months, but does that is something like a pandemic like a fertile time, or has it just been like the same?
Horribly infertile.
Okay.
At least on the creative side, things sort of shut down, but I also had Acme, especially the building and the construction, because I handled most of that myself, to put my efforts toward. So things like that.
So it's like the perfect time is a pandemic. What are you going to do? Well, let's get the building in shape.
Exactly. You know, it changed our timeline significantly as far as what we focused on, and we really focused on getting the additional artist spaces up and available rather than sort of our personal workspaces, just so we could get people in, because we definitely had people asking about space because people were tired of being home. They were tired of making work and they couldn't make work at home. So they needed somewhere to go where you could socially distance and still be productive.
Well, it's interesting because I think, you know, when the pandemic started, I hate to make that a big focus because I think we're all sick of it, but still I've always thought from the very beginning about how artists will react For some artists, it became like a great time. If you just imagine that you have a room in your house, you had plenty of opportunity to work, although maybe you didn't feel like working. Who knows? Maybe you were depressed. I don't know. So, but for some artists, then it became a problem. But it's interesting to hear you say like artists were looking to get out of their house, that was became an important thing to them some months ago. How long has Acme been open now? You told me before we got started recording.
We got our final occupancy from the city about 2.5 months ago.
2.5 months, yeah.
We've,
But
yeah, we've had mixed occupancy up until then, but like our final.
Right. So all these people have come to you though pretty recently, and with that kind of motivation you're talking about.
Yeah, and what I kept hearing over and over is people need to go to work. You know, you needed somewhere to go. They just they weren't accomplishing.
it's hard to be productive at home and just kind of, I think it helps mentally to just really separate that space. Like I can't really get much done at home, but I also have cats that crawl in my lap, but can't speak for other people.
It's nice if your work is stressing you out that you have animals to help that. But yes, I totally get what you mean. When we closed the LVA office, I had about 6 weeks, and it's kind of great for a while. And then I'm like, I have got to go back to the office. I have got to go back to that space. If I'm the only one, that's and then there were things about being there, and so just little things like mail and all those kinds of things. So yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, how you've got to have a space and maybe a schedule and whatever. So you're doing all 4 Saturdays. And I'm going to let me just flip my screen up here so I can read that because I don't want to get it wrong, but the dates the dates are just lost that image. The dates are October 9th. It's every Saturday, so it's the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. From 12 to 5. Now you guys are on South Clay Street, and I haven't seen you. I'm going to come visit you.
Oh, please do.
Yes, please.
I think I'm not going to. I have other obligations that are going to keep me probably from getting out. The staff's going to break up their time so that some of us are out every Saturday. But this new format of having it all month, it's going to be very interesting. So I'm definitely going to come. So talk about what's your neighborhood there? Is that Shelby Park, or are you?
We are Smoketown.
So Kentucky Street is literally the dividing line between Smoketown and Shelby Park, and we are just inside Smoketown.
Right. You're actually not. You're not too far from the radio station, because our studio, which I'm not using.
Right.
Yeah, we're just down on East Breckenridge or West Breckenridge.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're close to Hope Mills and Tim Faulkner and
Logan Street Market. We're literally only about 2 or so blocks away, so hopefully folks venture that way.
So see, I can imagine, yes, because there are people in Hope Mills. Yes, you could make a really nice Saturday and not go more than outside of a 2-mile block, probably, or
exactly
something like that.
Yeah,
which I think is always there's 2 ways to approach open studio. One is you can look to go to the individual far-flung places, but then you can also find yourself where in a given neighborhood you can maybe hit a bunch of things. And but with 4 Saturdays, you can try it both ways.
Exactly. Personally, I like the 4 Saturdays myself. I can understand how it's the 2 of us, so we can split the time as far as manning Acme and whatnot, and go out and see things. But I like the 4 Saturdays because, like you said, you felt like you missed too much.
Well, it's I think that any good program or initiative, this has been very successful, but I think you do have to start to entertain ways to change it. You have to be open to that. And our director, Christian Anderson, was who prompted this. That mindset of having one night or one weekend and having everything so concentrated. I think it was a good way to start, and I think it's time to sort of let it be a little different now and try things a little bit differently. So far, yeah, we've had very positive response from the artists who participate. So we'll see how it works with the crowds.
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap this up. I thank you so much, James, May, and Sarah
Ferguson.
I was going to say Fredericks because in my mind there's a Sarah Fredrickson that's a wonderful ceramic artist in town, and for some reason the F. So,
Cool. Sounds like.
thank you both for joining me today. Best of luck to you with your Acme Artworks initiative, and I hope you have a wonderful experience on all 4 Saturdays for Open Studio.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you out.
Yeah. Thanks for reaching out.
I think it's going to be the 23rd. You're going to be first on my list on the 23rd.
Cool. Fantastic.
All right.